Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is Monday, I hope you all are doing well. We were going to sit down and do the live game review to Everton's 3-2 defeat yesterday against Brighton at Goodison Park, but I thought we'd move that to tomorrow because quite frankly I'm not really ready to sit down and talk about what an absolute shambles of a game of football that was. Another defeat for Everton Football Club, another defeat for Rafael Benitez, and it leaves us all still scratching our heads and asking the question of how he is still in charge at Everton Football Club. I'm not one to jump on a manager's back and scream for a manager to be sacked unnecessarily, but 6 points out of a possible 36 in recent months for Everton. One win in the league since September is simply not good enough. You know, we knew going into this game we sat 15th in the Premier League table, and whilst we could have all sat here and say, yeah, but you know, we'd had 3 games postponed, and if those games have been played and won, we'd have been, you know, within the top 7 or 8, and it all can change with a couple of wins, and I get all of that, but the reality is, whilst we're still losing games of football, it doesn't make a difference. We can sit here all we like and say it can all change with a couple of wins, but where are a couple of wins coming from? You know, when are Everton going to be able to string 2 wins together? When are Everton going to be able to get 1 win, never mind 2 wins consecutively? Brighton are a decent side. They are a decent side. They play some really, really nice football under Graham Potter, but the reality is they're not an unbelievable side. You know, full respect to Brighton for yesterday. They turned up. They were much the better team and they deserved the 3 points, but they're not one of the best teams in the league, are they? We're not sitting here talking about a team that are going to challenge for the Champions League or are going to challenge for the league this season. We're talking about a decent mid-table Premier League side, the side that Everton should have been able to turn up and for me, take all 3 points in that game. I know we've had a couple of injuries, I know we've got a couple of key players out, but when you looked at that team, the midfield was the midfield that would be if everybody was fit. The back line, you know, barring Yerry Mina, was a back line that you would expect to see week in, week out, even when everybody is fit. I know the Luca Dean situation is still one that is very much haunting, you know, us Evertonians at the moment, and it seems the manager's ego and the manager's personal, you know, preferences is being put ahead of doing what's best for the team at the moment. The forward line contained 2 out of a possible 3 forward players, 2 of whom would start with if everybody was fit in Dominic Calvert-Lewin and Damari Gray. So there's absolutely no excuse for what was another horrid game of football yesterday and another horrid performance. But we're going to put that to one side for just a moment, and we will talk about that tomorrow evening. So if you want to come and you want to have a little bit of a rant, we will be live around about 4:15 tomorrow evening with the game review to the Brighton game. We're going to talk about transfers in today's live stream because I think it's, you know, transfers put a smile on our faces, don't they? They give us a little bit of optimism. They make us a little bit happy in what is a really, really dark time to be an Evertonian at the moment. We spoke earlier on this afternoon, about Everton confirming the signing of 22-year-old Ukrainian left-back Vitaly Mykolenko from Dynamo Kiev. We spoke about the impact that Vitaly Mykolenko could have on this Everton team, the impact that transfer is likely to have on Luca Dean's future at the football club, but also what Vitaly Mykolenko as a player brings to Everton ultimately. He's young, he's hungry. He spoke in his first interview with the football club about his desire and his commitment and how he prides himself on, first and foremost, giving 110% every time he goes out on the pitch. He's young, he's a good fullback going forward, he's very good going forward, he can put crosses into the box, he can create chances, but he also understands his defensive responsibilities as well. So really, really positive signing in my opinion. Yes, 18 to 20 million pounds might be a little bit steep for a lad who's going to have to ultimately settle into the league, and and there's obviously no guarantee that he'll be able to do that in any quick time. I get that it's a risk. I understand completely that, you know, there's a risk factor behind it. However, a 22-year-old left back, 20 odd million pounds, I think it'll prove to be a good bit of business for the football club in the future. And another bit of business that may turn out to be a good bit of business for the football club in the near future is Nathan Patterson. Now, this deal has really, really started to heat up over the last 24 hours or so. We've known Everton have been interested in Nathan Patterson for quite some time. He was linked heavily in the summer, but the rumour was Everton weren't able to match what Rangers wanted as an upfront fee because obviously of our financial fair play struggles and our financial fair play problems. We've known we've needed a right back for 4-5 years now, Marcel Brands failed to bring in a right back, and ultimately I think it was one of the key reasons as to why he left his job, or he certainly lost his job as Everton director of football. And we've known that we've needed the replacement for Seamus Coleman for some time. We tried to bring in Jibril Sidibe a few years ago on loan, that didn't work, and then we almost sort of just give up in our attempts to replace Seamus Coleman, despite the fact that Seamus has needed replacing for a number of years. Now, I love Seamus Coleman, I think he's amazing, I think what he's done and give to the football club is absolutely fantastic over his course of his career, but let's be perfectly honest, he shouldn't be in Everton starting 11. He certainly shouldn't be Everton starting right back week in, week out, because he's just not good enough to do that anymore. And Nathan Patterson, as I said, is a name that has been, cropping up when there's been conversations had about potential replacements for Seamus Coleman. Nathan Patterson is a name that's cropped up a number of times over the last few months or so. A lot of that was because of the rumours of Everton's interest in the summer. As I said, Everton seemingly unable to match what Rangers wanted as an upfront fee in the summer, and therefore we had to move on from that deal. We know we tried to bring in Ainsley Maitland-Niles on deadline day, that didn't work, and Everton have reignited their interest in Nathan Patterson. But not only reignited our interest in Nathan Patterson, it looks like this deal could be very, very, very soon completed, and Nathan Patterson could very shortly become an Everton player. Now, this all started last night when Sport Pete O'Rourke, I believe is how you pronounce it, Sport Pete O'Rourke said that Everton are closing in on the signing of Rangers right back Nathan Patterson. This was then again put out there by Paul Joyce, who of course is a very, very, very reputable source. Typically when Paul Joyce reports things, and typically when Paul Joyce comes out and tweets things individually as well, Paul Joyce has been known before to mention various different players and mention various different transfers in articles for the Time, and then people have gone into the Times articles and taken whatever Paul Joyce has said in those articles and tweeted it themselves. But this actually come from a direct Paul Joyce tweet, and it was that Everton are closing in on a deal for Glasgow Rangers right back Nathan Patterson. Alan Myers and Sky Sports then reported about an hour or so later that Everton are set to complete a deal worth up to £16 million to sign right back Nathan Patterson from Rangers, and it includes a £12 million fee up front. Fabrizio Romano, who of course we know as the big sort of transfer outlet, the big transfer source. Again, as I said, if Fabrizio Romano comes out and reports something, you sort of sit up and listen. Fabrizio Romano said that the deal is set to be complete for Nathan Patterson to Everton. Permanent move, understand the medical and contract signing are expected this week. Then it will be announced. The correct fee Rangers will receive is 12 million plus bonuses. It is going to be a club record fee. I think Fabrizio Romano come out and said something very similar along those lines regarding Nathan Patterson. Again, he said that last night, and then earlier on this morning, bear with me just 2 seconds while I get it, he also said that, bear with me 2 seconds, deal is set to be complete for Nathan Patterson to Everton. We retweeted that one, and I believe he said something very similar in a further tweet. He retweeted the tweet that he'd put out originally, so again further confirming that is the situation. And yeah, basically just saying the deal is set to be complete for Nathan Patterson. Jim White recently, in the last couple of hours or so, has said a deal for Rangers right back Nathan Patterson to sign for Everton is said to be worth up to £16 million, with a source close to the deal saying it will be done. And the Daily Record come out as well not so long ago and said that Nathan Patterson has arrived on Merseyside for his Everton medical. So it looks like the Nathan Patterson deal is very, very, very much down the line in regards to him becoming an Everton player. Obviously, as I said, this one has been in the news and over social media for the last few weeks or so, and it's been rumoured that Everton have been interested in him, and Everton have been in talks with Rangers, and Everton have been trying to get a deal over the line. But typically there's a long way to go when it's just at the talk stage and the stage of two clubs wanting to make a deal. There's a lot of things that could go wrong. There's a lot of things that could cause a problem. So it was really, really exciting to read earlier on this afternoon that this deal is pretty much set to be completed, as Jim White says there, a source close to the deal saying that it will be done. So really, really positive news. Really, really positive news. As I said, Nathan Patterson is again, similarly to Vitaly Mykolenko, really still very, very young. There is still a risk factor there, as there is with any signing, really. You'd struggle to sign any player without there being a risk factor, unless you're talking about going out and signing an Mbappe or a Haaland or somebody like that. Every player that Everton will be looking at bringing in over the next 12 to 18 months will have a risk associated with them because of the situation Everton are in. I think one thing that is maybe worrying some fans a little bit more than others is that, the risks associated with some of the players we brought in the summer, i.e. Demarai Gray and Andros Townsend, were very, very low because the money we were spending was, nominal, really. 1.7 million on Demarai Gray. If he was to come in and be absolutely shocking, then, we haven't spent an awful lot of money on him. We'd probably still make a profit anyway. I know Demarai Gray obviously has come in and he's been absolutely fantastic. I get that. But there was a very, very low risk factor with the Demarai Gray signing. Same with Andros Townsend, again, costing us buttons, wages-wise, buttons. So even if he was to come in and not work at all, it wouldn't be much of a loss because we wouldn't have spent that much money on him. And I get that. Looking at the two fullbacks specifically, Mykolenko, who we know is signed for around about 18 to 20 million pounds, and Nathan Patterson, who'll now sign for up to 16 million pounds. There's a little bit more of a risk factor because we're spending that money on these two players, but they are two very young, up and coming fullbacks. A lot of people speak very highly of Nathan Patterson at Rangers and who watch Scottish football. He doesn't get a massive run out in the Rangers first team, but there's obviously something that Rangers are seeing in him as to demand such a high upfront fee. And as I said, there's a lot of people that are close to Scottish football who really, really highly rate Nathan Patterson and say that he is going to go on to be one of the one of the best fullbacks in that league. Had he not signed for Everton. He is only 20 years old. He has played 6 times in the Scottish Premier League so far this year, no goals. Played 3 times in the Europa League for Rangers, again no goals, and 2 appearances in the Scottish Cup. I believe ex-Rangers manager Steven Gerrard was a big fan of Nathan Patterson and spoke very, very highly of him. I've seen a couple of clips on social media in recent weeks of some of his goals that he scored, I think last season, and he looks really, really impressive. He looks like exactly what we need, a fullback who isn't afraid to get forward, isn't afraid to burst down the line, has got pace, can put balls into the box, almost, and I'm going to say almost here because take what I'm about to say with a massive pinch of salt and with a lot of jest. He almost reminds me of a younger sort of Seamus Coleman. Now, as with the Vitaly Mykolenko signing, as we spoke about earlier on today, there is going to be a settling in period for Nathan Patterson. I don't expect him to turn up and be the best right back in the league, within his first couple of weeks of being at the football club. There will be a period of having to settle in to Premier League football and ultimately having to acclimatise to the level that he needs to be at to be able to perform week in, week out in the Premier League. As I said, there is a massive risk there that he won't be able to make that transition and he won't be able to acclimatise in the way that he needs to, as is the same risk associated with Vitaly Mykolenko. But ultimately, you've got to take risks with players like these, and with signing a young 22-year-old left back who's going to come in and hopefully be the left back for the next 6-7 years going forward, and the same with obviously Nathan Patterson, who's a little bit younger on the right hand side. £12 million upfront fee is something that we knew we couldn't afford in the summer, so it makes sense that Rangers weren't happy to do the deal in the summer. Obviously, with various different financial situations over the last couple of months at Everton, we have been able to muster that money up front and able to pay that money now, which is positive. And the club have kept at the Nathan Patterson deal. A club have persisted with it. They haven't just sort of been shied away by the fact that Rangers want a certain amount of money. There's clearly somebody at the football club, whether it be Rafael Benitez or somebody else, that is an admirer of Nathan Patterson, and it's very, very easy to say that it is Rafael Benitez, but there was an interesting tweet put out earlier on today by a Ukrainian source who stated that, actually, whilst there's a lot of talk on social media that Rafael Benitez was a big admirer of Vitaly Mykolenko, Carlo Ancelotti had actually inquired about Vitaly Mykolenko whilst he was manager of Everton, and the Dynamo Kiev representatives had spoken to Carlo Ancelotti about potentially bringing Mykolenko to Everton, obviously before he left in June. So Again, whoever is an admirer of Nathan Patterson at the football club has clearly felt like there's a need to persist with this transfer, and that Nathan Patterson is the right player to come in and ultimately take over from Seamus Coleman. As I said, it is a risk. He is only 20 years old, and I get that some people might say, well, we should have gone for a player who's maybe a little bit older and maybe a little bit more sort of experienced and ready to step in to play week in, week out, because ultimately that's what we need. We don't need Nathan Patterson to come into Everton and take 2 or 3 years to acclimatise to the league. Ideally, we need Nathan Patterson to come into Everton and within a week or so, 2 or 3 weeks, be ready to step in and play week in, week out in the Premier League. And I know that that mightn't be the case. As I've just said, I'm sure that there'll be, a Nathan Patterson as similar with Vitaly Mykolenko, will both need periods of settling into the league and understanding the demands and understanding what's needed, but we can't really afford that at right back. Maybe Nathan Patterson would have been a perfect signing had we have had already a replacement for Seamus Coleman, and Nathan Patterson would be coming in to sort of learn off of whoever is our number one right back. But the reality is Nathan Patterson will be coming in to be our number one right back, and I don't think the club, in the financial situation that they're in, would spend £16 million on a right back who wasn't going to come in and be the number one. So, as I said, he looks like a promising young player, 20 years old, can get forward, is proven in the Scottish League, he can score goals, he can create chances defensively, he's capable as well. He'll have to, improve, and he'll have to learn a lot more, of course he will. Same with Vitaly Mykolenko on the left-hand side, and I suppose the risk of having them both, joining Everton at the same time is we've got two very inexperienced young fullbacks who are new to the league and new to the team in from the off, at the same time, and we haven't really got a sustained centre-back partnership, have we really? Yerry Mina, if Yerry Mina was fit week in, week out, we could say, well, okay, you've got Yerry Mina in there, he'll cover a lot of what the fullbacks, may do wrong, or mistakes they may make, but we haven't got Yerry Mina in there because he's injured every single 5 minutes. So again, the centre-back partnerships at the moment are very much up and down, so we've got to hope that it doesn't take too long for both fullbacks to acclimatise and that they do get their head down and hit the ground running straight away. But ultimately, look, this is a positive. We needed a right back for so long. As I said, it's been 4 or 5 years now for me since we've needed to replace Seamus Coleman, and Nathan Patterson does look like a player who certainly, within the next couple of years or so, could go on to be one of the best in the league. And I'm not going to hype him up too much. I'm not going to sit here and say he's unbelievable and he's the best thing ever, because I haven't watched enough of him to say that, but he looks like he's got all the attributes and all the potential to go on to be a really, really solid right back for years to come. And he's obviously a player, as I mentioned, who Everton have targeted and persisted with for the last few months or so, which is ultimately a positive that it seems like we'll now be able to do that deal. So if you're new to the stream and you're thinking, what's going on, what's the update, what have I missed, the latest from Jim White is that a deal for Rangers right back Nathan Patterson to sign for Everton is said to be worth £60 million, with a source close to the deal saying it will be done. Paul Joyce reported yesterday that that is the case as well. Daily Record have said today that Nathan Patterson has arrived on Merseyside for his Everton medical. Fabrizio Romano said that the deal is set to be completed for Nathan Patterson to Everton. Permanent move, understand the medical and contract signing are expected this week. Then it will be announced. Correct fee Rangers will receive is £12 million plus bonuses. It's going to be a club record fee. Alan Myers and Sky reporting that Everton are set to complete a deal worth up to £16 million to sign right back Nathan Patterson from Rangers with a £12 million upfront fee. And Paul Joyce, as I said, reporting that Everton are closing in on a deal for Nathan Patterson. So it's gone beyond the rumours of Everton being interested. It's gone beyond the point of there just being talks and both clubs being interested in making a deal. And it seems now that we could be days away from a new right back, which is positive, isn't it? Let's be honest. Look, the football at the moment is utterly atrocious. Some of the managerial tactics and decisions are completely inept, and as I said at the start of the live stream, I really don't understand how the manager still has a job, to be perfectly honest with you. But in this situation, we've needed a right back for so long, and it looks like finally we're going to go out there and invest some money in a young up-and-coming player who looks like he could be a really, really solid fullback for years to come. So there you go. Let us know in the comments. We are going to get in the live comments now before we finish up. If you are enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. 85 people watching. That is absolutely unbelievable. If you could get the likes up, that would be absolutely perfect as well. Let's get into the live comments and see what people are saying. Joe says, hello, mate. Hello, Joe. Hope you're doing well. Tazul says, hello, Cam. What's happening? Tom says, hi. Hi, my mate. Dosbick says, hi, Cam. Hope we're doing well. I'm not too bad, mate. Hope you're doing well yourself. Damien says, all right, Cam. Think this Patterson is a good sign in the left back. Hopefully a centre mid or a centre back as well. Well, the manager said, didn't he, that we should expect 2 to 3 signings in January. We've made one already in Mykolenko, so that's one. We would expect the second to be Nathan Patterson, so that's 2. I don't think the third will be anybody of any real sort of you know, I don't think it'll be a hard thought deal. Effectively, I think we'll sign Mykolenko, of course, Nathan Patterson, and I think there might be a loan deal for somebody. Hopefully it is a centre midfielder, because we are absolutely desperate for another centre midfielder. Alan and Abdoulaye Doucouré were both abysmal yesterday, absolutely abysmal, and it's become evidently clear that we need to play a 3 in midfield, and there's a massive vacancy for that third spot. But all we can do is hope that the club are targeting a centre midfielder as the third player to bring in this January, because we really do need it. Ideally somebody within the same ilk of an Abdoulaye Doucouré, but who knows, we'll have to wait and see. Paul says 12 million for Rangers as second choice right back, maybe a bit steep for me. Well, yeah, I get it. And that's what I'm saying. I get the risks that are involved with the Nathan Patterson deal. He doesn't start every week for Rangers. He very much is sort of second choice, I think, to Tavernier at the moment. But he's still very, very young. He's still only 20 years old. He's got European experience for Rangers. He was very highly thought of by Steven Gerrard when he was at the football club. I strictly remember Steven Gerrard laughing off ideas that Rangers would sell Nathan Patterson to Everton in an interview. Just so happens that the reason they didn't sell wasn't actually anything to do with Steven Gerrard, it was to do with finances, but there you go. So he seems very highly rated. He seems like, people over in Scotland and at Rangers are rating him to be potentially, again, a really, really good up-and-coming full-back, and it seems like Everton may have a decent deal, but I understand that given our financial situation, it's a lot of money to be spending on a player that comes with such a risk. But Everton aren't really in a situation at the moment to be by bringing in players that are no risk and, all reward, really. We had I'd say a really good summer in regards to the fact that we brought in a lot of low-risk players, and a couple of them have turned out to be a success so far in Damari Gray and Andros Townsend. We were always going to have to spend money on risk, players with risk coming into January if we wanted to improve the team. Lavid says, what difference this signing will make remains to be seen, but it's a Rafa signing. Well, listen, if Rafa Benitez is going to play Mason Holgate at right back and keep, Nathan Patterson on the bench, then it won't make much difference, will it, to be honest? Damien says, Paulie was only second because of how good Tavernier is in front of him. Tavernier is a really good player. Damien says, talk of a swap deal for Sino for Dean. Would you take that? Well, look, I wouldn't take a swap deal for Luca Dean, no. I think Luca Dean will leave Everton this summer. This January, and I think Everton should be looking to get a transfer fee for him, because ultimately at his age and at his stage of his career, he's a French international left back, potential starting French international left back in the upcoming World Cup. I think Everton should be looking to get as big of a transfer fee as they can for Luca Dean. Remy says, hey guys, Happy New Year, how's everyone doing? I mate, hope you're doing well. Happy New Year to you too. Faz says, the lad Patterson is very highly thought of in Scotland. The general consensus is we're getting a bargain. Let's hope so. Tom says, have you seen Richarlison's tattoo? I have. I don't know if anybody else has seen Richarlison's tattoo, but Richarlison has had his Brazilian tattooed down his neck, because he's just absolutely boss, isn't he? I love Richarlison. I think he's amazing. I think he's absolutely amazing. Yeah, his tattoo is great. Paul says, at least we're signing the right profile of player now, young and hungry, not like our usual 29, 30-year-olds on inflated wages. Well, yeah, that is a positive as well. There's a lot of issues at the football club, granted, and the football on the pitch is certainly one of them, and the managing in the dugout, I personally think, is one of them as well. But you're right, in the grand scheme of things, considering we were linked with the likes of Aaron Ramsey and Philippe Coutinho only a couple of days ago, to see that the business we're doing is surrounding young, up-and-coming players, 20 to 23, 24-year-old players, yes, costing us a little bit of money, but, looking to players looking to be, high in potential, and players that have got that desire, got that work rate, want to work. That's the type of profile we need to sign. Athletic, got that commitment, want to get their head down, want to work hard for the club, not these 30-odd-year-old players who are going to come in on big money and not do anything because they don't really want to be here. They're just here because they're getting paid a shitload of money to be here, i.e. Coutinho and Aaron Ramsey and players like that. Damien says, Richie's tattoo is quality, good sign, he still wants to play. He just loves it, doesn't he? And he also says, bar and medical Patterson deal done. Well, let's hope so. Let's hope that, as I said, Daily Record reporting today that he is in Merseyside for his medical. So hopefully we can get this one done and dusted and over the line by the end of the week as well. If you are enjoying this stream, by the way, please hit that like button. Does only take a second if you are new. Don't forget to subscribe as well. That only takes a second and would mean a massive amount to me. As I said, we will be live tomorrow evening with the game review to the Brighton game, so don't forget to look out for that one. We'll have a little bit of a rant about what was another absolutely shambolic Everton performance, wasn't it? Let's be honest, there's absolutely no other way of putting it other than to say that. Joe says, I think another centre midfielder and winger, and it'll be a good transfer window. I can't see us signing another 2 players after Nathan Patterson, to be honest with you. And Joe says, Damien, I've heard rumours that the first part of his medical was done today. Interesting. I haven't. I've heard rumours that he was in Merseyside for the first part of his medical, but interesting. It'll be done tomorrow, says Danny. I think it'll be. I think. If I was to give an estimate, if things were to go as smoothly as we hope and as seemingly reported at the moment, I would think that it would be at least Thursday, Friday before we get any form of announcement by the club. Let's be honest, the club don't do anything quick, do they? So it's not going to be tomorrow that he's announced. Things would have to go tremendously quick for that to be the case. Barry says unlucky yesterday. I don't know if you're talking about Everton being unlucky. I think they were just shite. Paul says, must be 2 is Mercedes, Bezzy, Jim White saying virtually done. Mercedes probably been texting him again. Yeah, probably. Probably, mate, probably. Lee says, few. Did he get lost in the post? We've been waiting for the right back for about 8 million years. Yeah, we have. Damien says, Joe, yeah, saying, reckon they'll be announcing him before the end of the week. Yeah, maybe the end of the week, but I don't think it'll be tomorrow. Lavitt says, do you think Lukaku on loan is a possibility? No, and I think there's just been a report saying from Chelsea saying that that Lukaku won't be leaving in any of the next 2 transfer windows. But if you're asking me, would I take Lukaku on loan? Absolutely. I seriously would. Where are we then? Where are we? Eugene says, Rafa Benitez talks about Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Interesting. Some chat about Vecino Dean swap deal. Mer says, Wormy. I haven't even seen any of that talk. Link us it on Twitter. I haven't even seen where that's coming from. Happy New Year, everyone. I heard the same. Wormy says, Damien is right. Only Lukaku we have a chance of getting as his brother. Says Paul, probably take him at the minute. Ian says, Happy New Year, Cam. Although I'm glad we are moving quickly for our transfer target to get the feeling it's too little too late. Although I'm happy, I still think Rafa should go. Yeah, I'm the same, mate. I don't understand how Rafael Benitez is still in a job, and I don't think signing Vitaly Mykolenko and Nathan Patterson will all of a sudden fix our season, and I don't think all of a sudden we'll turn into this amazing footballing team because we've signed 2 good young left backs, 2 good young fullbacks, but it is a start, and it's it's definitely a move in the right direction, in my opinion. Football fans, as understanding his class, he's had a decent season so far. Emmy says, what do you think of Gabaman? He'd be tied in the centre-back position. I think it's a risk. I think it's a massive risk. For me, I'd send Gabaman out on loan, try and get him a loan, try and get him some experience, try and get him some game time consistently, and, not have the risk of him making mistakes or not being, I suppose, fit enough or capable enough to play Premier League football, because that first half against Wolves was he looked like he'd never played football before. And again, I get that he'd been out for so long and it was his first start in this many years and that many years. I get all of that, but the reality is he looked like he'd never even been on a football pitch before. And Everton, in the situation that we're in at the moment, we can't afford to have players on the pitch who are needing to be carried like that. We need another winger, says Nicholas. Lee says if we play a full-strength team against Hull and lose, he's gone. I'd rather he play youth and new signings with Kabam, then if we lose, at least we know. I don't think he'd be sacked even if we played a full-strength team and lost at Wolves, to be honest with you. If you're all enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. It does only take a second, and if you're new, don't forget to subscribe. Damien says, do we really need another winger? We have Richie, Gray, Townsend and Gordon. I would like, personally, a top quality right winger. I really would. I'm talking a Luis Diaz-esque type of player on the right wing. Do I think we'll get one? Probably not, but I still think we're lacking that real top quality right winger. I do. Ian says also, mate, I'm happy I've joined the channel. Best pound I've spent this year. Keep up the great content, mate. Thank you very much, Ian. Really do appreciate that. If you want to join the channel, by the way, it is only 99p because that's the cheapest I could make it. It's the join button next to the subscribe button, and it would mean a real massive amount to me. Thank you very much, Ian. Lavit says, I understand Rafa's critics, but he's effectively only just took over without Brands bossing him. Interesting. And Whammy says, no, we need a centre mid now and an ST. Interesting. Well, look, we definitely need another centre midfielder. It's blatant. Joe is in the chat. What's happening, Joe? He says, hi Cam, how's things, bro? I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Joe, I don't suppose when you get a second you could throw us a little thumbnail together for this video, please? That would be absolutely amazing. Thank you very much. He says Mikhalenko is a Ukrainian warrior. Joe is big on is Ukrainian football. So again, Joe will have watched an awful lot more of Vitaly Mikhalenko than I certainly have. I've seen him in little, YouTube clips and stuff, and I know YouTube isn't the place to judge players. I get all of that. And I've watched them for Ukraine in the Euros as well. But Joe is the man to go to for Ukrainian football because he loves Ukrainian football, so he'll be able to tell you a lot more about Mikhalenko than I will. Tom says, yes, Cam, loving the streams and the work you put into the channel. Thank you very much, my mate. Really appreciate it. Lavavid says, dear God, please make Lukaku go to Everton on loan. Imagine it. Imagine Rom saying, you know what? Some people wouldn't want him back because of his attitude or because of the way he talks in the media. I'd love him back, mate. I'd drive down to London myself, which I can do now because I have got a licence. I remember I used to say on the channel, I'd drive him there, but I haven't got a licence. I have now, so I could actually drive that. Well, I couldn't because my car's broken, needs to go in the garage, but you know what I mean. I'd drive down to London and pick him up myself. And Joel says, how do I join the channel, Cam? Can't see the button anyway. Saw it the other day as well. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it doesn't show up on mobiles or tablets. You've got to go on either the YouTube web page on a mobile or a tablet, typing in on Google YouTube, or you've got to do it on a computer or a laptop. It doesn't seem to show up on the YouTube app on iPad or iPhone, which is a little bit mad. I don't know why, but that's just the system. But thank you very much, Joe. Really appreciate it. Mitchell says, Cam, don't be a two-faced man. Carlo Ancelotti was only here for £1 million a year. We need to pay to have these stars here. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. I get that. But I suppose that's what I'm saying. We're taking a step in the right direction in bringing in the right quality, the right profile of player, young, hungry. But what comes with that is a risk, and that risk is that both fullbacks will take a little bit of time to settle into the league, or maybe they won't be able to settle in at all. But if they do settle in, I think it's a couple of really good bits of business by the football club, which is not something I've said an awful lot in recent years because it can't have been said in recent years. Tom says, how long do you reckon Rafa is going to get, Cam, until they time to call it a day? I don't think Rafa Benitez is going anywhere anytime soon, if I'm being honest with you. I don't. YouTuber says we should take Barkley on loan. I don't think we should, but there you go. Tazio says we need to get rid of that donkey Keane and Holgate. We need a centre mid. Yeah, well, again, we a decision's got to be made on Yerry Mina, hasn't it? Ultimately, is Yerry Mina's injury record and injury problems worth the money that we're paying him per week, or should we sort of just sell Yerry Mina and move on and try and bring in a centre back who's going to be a lot more consistent within the team? YouTuber says, watch Gerard Delafeo up to these days, banging them in for Udinese, I believe, in Italy. Coffee Time says, I think we need to get rid of Michael Keane myself. He's consistent but not consistently good, but yeah, consistently not very good. Eugene thinks Rafa will get the sack if we don't beat Hull. I don't. Stephen says, I just don't want to see Ross Barkley back at Everton. Me neither, mate. Me neither. David Neres to Everton says, Nicholas, I'd love him at Everton, but I don't think that's a deal that could be done, personally. Mark says Dennis Zakaria would be an amazing addition to the team without he come here. He certainly would, mate. He certainly would. Joe says on the thumbnail now, mate, thank you very much, Joe. Appreciate that, my mate. He says Mikalenko is frustrating and makes errors. It's a downgrade for now, but this will work for Everton long term, I believe. He says against Finland, Mikalenko made a bad error and gave away a penalty. Got sent off. He was pictured crying on the steps of the Olympiski. Apologies. He will give everything for Everton and fight for us. So there you go. Joe, who, as I said, has watched Mikalenko a lot more than probably the average, Evertonian, because Joe, watches the Ukrainian league and likes that football. There you go, saying it won't be an instant hit, and pretty much what we've said. It'll take time. It'll be frustrating. Got a lot to learn. He is only 22 years old. Let's not forget. So still a lot of time to improve. Still a lot of time to work on his defensive side of things, and he will have to work on his defensive side of things in the Premier League as well, but we'll always give everything, we'll always battle, we'll always fight for Everton, and that's what we want as Evertonians. And also in the long term, once he's learned it, from those mistakes, and once he's improved on what he needs to improve on, could be a really, really good signing. Is right, Joe. Thank you very much for that, my mate. We need a fox in the box striker ASAP, says Joanne. Well, we just need Dom back and firing, really. What we could have done with is Dom scoring that penalty yesterday. I mean, I love Dominic Calvert-Lewin as much as the next Evertonian, but I still can't wrap my head around what the fuck he's trying to do, trying to put that penalty in the top corner. I don't get it. You've been out for 4 months injured. We're 2-0 down against Brighton at home. We desperately need a goal. Why aren't you just focusing on getting that on target and wrapping your foot through it, getting it back to 2-1, getting yourself back on the score sheet after so long out, and then going from there? Why you're trying to place it in the top corner is one of the most baffling decisions I've ever witnessed, in my opinion. And as I said, I love Dom as much as the next Blue, but for me, that was an awful decision yesterday for him to try and put that penalty in the top corner. Paul says, yesterday proved we should have moved heaven and earth for Potter in the summer. Yeah, listen, again, I like Graham Potter, I do. Tazul says, Dennis Zakaria has had serious injuries in the past, will fit right in at Everton. Nicholas said, if we sell a Iwobi for 30 million, we could get a winger. We're never, ever selling a Iwobi for anywhere near. If we sell a Iwobi for 3 million, I'd be surprised. We're not getting anywhere near 30 million. Mr. Hovel says, when do you think Nathan Patterson will be announced officially? Well, the deal isn't done officially, so it will only be announced when the deal is done. And I don't think the deal will be done until the end of the week at the very, very least. It might even be the weekend we see an announcement, but everything would have to go absolutely swimmingly from now until then, of course. Tom says, Mina, Holgate, Gomez, Delph, Coleman, all to go for us to move Cam. Otherwise, I think we're just going to have the same conversation in the next 27 years, yeah. June says, straight for Loftus-Cheek. Interesting. Would you take Coutinho, says Eugene? No, I wouldn't. Nimba says no one is spending 30 million on a Iwobi. YouTuber says we'll be lucky to get 10 million for a Iwobi. 15 for a Iwobi. Also sell Holgate and sell Keane. I don't think we'd get 15 for a Iwobi. I really don't. Far says Bergwijn from Spurs will be a decent loan. Brands was caught him. Yeah, he will. I like Steven Bergwijn. I think he's a good player. I wanted him, when he was over in the Netherlands before he went to Spurs. I think he's a good player. Tazio says, if Rafa is to be sacked, why is he going to be allowed to spend this money? It'll be Groundhog Day again for the next manager. He'll be stuck with other managers' players. I don't think Rafa Benitez is going anywhere anytime soon. I think that's why he's being given this money to spend. Almost as baffling as playing Coleman left wing back, says Wormy. Yeah. Stephen says best news is Iwobi is going on the international break. Well, he looks to be going away with Nigeria, doesn't he? Which is interesting. Any news on any player leaving the club, says Stephen? Not at the moment, mate. Not on the moment. Still very much the Luca Dean stuff. The Luca Dean rumours are surrounding Chelsea, and Chelsea potentially moving for Luca Dean. But again, there's been no update since we sat down and spoke about it last week, and nothing on any other player as well. If Patterson signed, could he play against Leicester? If he signs in time, yeah. And the Mighty Blues #1 fan says, hello Cam, mate, hope you like the new name. Is right, mate. Says the season is officially over if we lose to Hull. Rafa's got to go. The club is rotten to the core. Not good enough. We demand more. Nil Satterson is the optimum. Yeah, I think Rafa Benitez should have gone by now anyway, but it's clear the club won't do that. June says Patterson and Mikalenko both very quick fullbacks, good crosses to the ball. Please no more Holgate and Keane. Yeah, certainly good up and coming. players for the future. As Joe said about Michalenko there, he'll be frustrating, but he certainly believes in the future. He'll be a player that we can all get behind, and that will certainly fit into the squad. I think we'll have very, very similar experience with Nathan Patterson for the first few months. Joe says thumbnail will be in your DMs in a few minutes, pal. Thank you very much, my mate. Really do appreciate that one. Unbelievable. Everyone give Joe love in the comments, by the way. This channel wouldn't look anywhere near as good as it does look without Joe. Backgrounds, thumbnails, all of that sort of stuff. Joe has been a rock throughout the last near 4 years of doing this channel, so give Joe some love in the comments. He's an absolute belter. But yeah, there you go. That is the latest on the Nathan Patterson rumours. The latest as of literally now. If you're wanting the latest as of literally 2 seconds ago. Well, it wasn't 2 seconds ago. It was just 3 hours ago. And it was Jim White saying a deal for Rangers right back Nathan Patterson to sign for Everton is said to be worth £16 million with a source close to the deal saying it will be done. Fabrizio Romano has said that a deal is set to be completed for Nathan Patterson to Everton. Permanent move. Understand the medical and contract signing are expected this week. Then it will be announced. Correct fee. Rangers will receive his 12 million plus bonuses. It's going to be a club record, and the Daily Record have said that Nathan Patterson has arrived on Merseyside for his Everton medical. So there you go. It seems like the Nathan Patterson deal is very, very much moving in the right direction. It seems very much like the Nathan Patterson deal could be completed over the next couple of days or so, which is really, really, really positive news as well. Whammy says, these are not Rafa signs. We were linked with Patterson when Brands was here and Mikalenko's been on the radar. That's true. Faz says, Holgate may go to the Skunks. They're desperate for the centre-back. I don't know who the Skunks are. Is that Newcastle? Randon said, what do you think of what Lukaku said? I think Lukaku, it was mad really, because it was almost like an Alan Partridge sketch, wasn't it? He'd done his interview and you can see behind him he's got the I Love Inter plaque or whatever it is behind him on his couch. I just think he's just a wind-up, isn't he? Whichever club he's at, he winds them up. He wound Inter up when he was there. Their ultras, their fans don't like him an awful lot. They defaced his mural because of the way in which he left. And now he's winding Chelsea fans up. He used to do it at Everton. Every time he went on international duty, he'd talk about leaving the club and this, that and the other. He never changes. He says he's professional, but he's really not professional. He's very unprofessional in the way in which he acts in front of the media. But he's an unbelievable footballer, so... yeah. Gavin says, doesn't matter what fullbacks we sign, they will all get brought down to Michael Keane's level like Godfrey has. Well, listen, I don't think there's any doubt in that. We could do with another centre-back. Joe says, thanks so much, Cam. Really appreciate the shout-out, my mate, of course. Everyone go and follow Joe, subscribe to Joe, check out his Twitter, all of that sort of stuff as well. Go and give him a follow. As I said, he's a massive reason as to why this channel it continues to grow and continues to build year in, year out. If it wasn't for Joe, I don't think we'd be anywhere near the amount of subscribers we have or the amount of, communication in the comments and stuff we get. So big thanks to Joe. Paul says, if Dean signs for Newcastle, it'll be good riddance. He's not going to Newcastle. He wants Champions League football, all things believed. And Tazio says, we know what the problem is. It's the defence. It's the same culprits making the same mistakes every week. We will be decent if we get the defence sorted. I think the biggest problem is the manager's tactical ineptness, personally. But, look, everyone's entitled to their own opinion and everyone will have their own thoughts and feelings. So, yeah, look, there you go. That is going to do it for today's live stream. If you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. Once again, a massive thank you to everybody for getting involved in the live comments. Sorry we couldn't get involved with all of the live comments. I do apologise. But a big thanks to everybody for getting involved. Over 100 people watching at one point in the live stream. So thank you all very, very much. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second and it means a massive amount to me as well. As I said, we will be back around about 4:15 tomorrow with the game review to the Brighton defeat. So look out for that one if you want to join us and have a little bit of a rant about that one as well. If you are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. You can become a member if you're interested as well for 99 pence. That's the cheapest I could make it. That's only if you're interested though and you want to become a member of the channel. But if you are new, please hit that subscribe button. That is absolutely free. And if you have enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. If you're watching as a YouTube video, leave your thoughts down below. We'll get involved with as many of them as we can. And as I said, massive thank you to everybody for watching as a live stream and getting involved in the live comments. I really do appreciate it. Arsenal for life says Everton might get relegated. We might. We'll get relegated if Mina doesn't get fit. Replace Keane, says Gavin. Rafa out, says Samyak. I hope Everton stay up, says Arsenal for life. Is right. Arsenal Maniac. I don't know why there's so many Arsenal fans in here, but he says Rafa in. He also says, hey, Happy New Year. Happy New Year, my mate. Bring Rooney, says Samyak. Interesting. Nimba says, later, Cam and everyone. Cheers, mate. Bright says, Cam and me. And the other day says, Bright, yes. Eugene says, see you, bye, up the top. He says, right. Damien says, cheers, Cam. Cheers, mate. And Gavin says, Rafa, Coleman, Keane, Alan, all too old and all too slow. Well, maybe Benitez could do a better job in midfield than he can do on the sideline. Who knows? Anyway, big thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed this one, please do leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe if you're new as well. And we'll see you soon on the Mighty Blues. Cheers for watching. See you after.